All right. What's up, man?
Nothing much. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. What is the name of the show? This is the Everyday Joe Show. It's your boy Jay here with a very special guest. He goes by the name of Miles Clark. How you feeling, man?
I mean, I'm feeling great. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you got a little radio DJ post. Yeah, I'm not gonna let the music run for too long. We've got quite a bit to talk about, and I left the fan on. I'm gonna turn that off real quick. We don't do edits here. All right. Good thing I had a little music playing still. Man, so for the people who don't know, maybe this is your first time watching this show. This is a show about people that don't have crowds chasing them in the malls. Maybe they don't do concerts or Met Galas, but they probably deserve something along those lines of some type of spotlight or shine. Special people, right? So, what do you do?
Me? I mean, tennis player, aspiring professional, soon to be professional.
That's what I like to hear. Manifest that.
Yeah.
Professional tennis player. How does one decide that that's what they're gonna do?
Well, one, you have to really enjoy what you do. It's a lot of hard work. I mean, I'm training at least 3 to 5 hours a day, and yeah, I mean, it's just like something you just have to really enjoy.
And you have to win a lot. Yeah. That's the tougher part. So for people who know me or follow this channel or familiar with me, everyone knows I'm a tennis addict. I love tennis. I'm a big tennis fan. So it was just a matter of time before a tennis player was on this show. And I just want to make sure it was someone that kicks my ass before I put them on it so I could actually interview them and enjoy it. And I've known you. It's actually been a while now. It's been a long while. The first time I think we met up, I want to say you were just graduating high school.
Yeah, probably. Or I was at least in RC, because, I mean, we met through my brother.
Yeah. So it was a while ago. For people who don't know, his brother is Nicholas Gray, who is on an episode of another show on this channel. Funny story. But yeah, man, I feel like when we met, the player you were seemed like someone that was attainable to beat. And then the last time we played, I went, oh. The gap got so big. And it's funny to me because it wasn't like I wasn't playing any tennis that whole time, and the gap still got bigger. And I don't see that often from anyone. I know a lot of tennis players throughout the last 15 years of my life, and most of them, even if I don't see them for 5 or 6 years, when I see them again, I usually feel like I'm the sharper one of the two. What do you do to actually improve further? Because I feel like it's so easy to get stuck.
Well, since you met me, you saying around college? We'll say around like JUCO. So I went to JUCO for 2 years. So I say that I had a change in my mental perspective actually during COVID. So this is me when I at my Division I school, right?
Yeah.
And so after COVID, like when I was playing my matches, I'd say one that stood out particular was when I played against Duke. I was playing like
this. That's a light flex, but go ahead.
Light flex.
Something light.
Yeah, but I was playing against Duke. I was playing 4 at the time, and like the guy, like when I was playing, like I didn't feel like I ended up losing the match, unfortunately. But when I was out on court, I felt like like this is where I belong.
Yeah.
Like this is like top tier college tennis. Like it's one of the best schools you can play against. So I went to my coach after the COVID season because, everything got canceled. So I went to my coach and I was like, I really want to consider playing professional tennis. And so, yeah, that's summer 2020. Like my training increased, like just the amount of time I was on court increased exponentially. Because before I just go a lesson a week and then, hit with my friends and that'd be it.
Yeah.
But once I told them I wanted to commit to being a professional, everything had to change.
Right. So for people who don't know what the 4 is, that's the 4th position in the lineup. Out of how many?
6.
6. Okay, yeah. So lower half.
Yeah, so I wasn't even number 1. So.
Yeah, and you went, it's time to go pro. which I have we'll get a little more serious tone here when I say this, but I do think that in order for someone to become pro or exceptional at anything, it's not necessarily about being the perfect record, the number one guy on the team. It's about having a little bit of delusion. I remember Holger Rune like 3 years ago was like, I will be in the new big three. And I was like, what is he talking about? How?
Yeah.
Like, he's not that good. And now I'm like, he's in the new big three. You know, like, I'm saying it for him, you know. And back then, it could have appeared to be delusion because he had no reason to believe that. His record didn't show it. The people he was beating didn't show it. But I think that you had the spark just like he had. And when you said you wanted to go pro, the only way a guy, especially in tennis, because we know how this sport is, you ain't going pro if you don't believe you need to go pro.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't. It's just not possible. It's an individual sport, which I have my reservations about that. I think individual sports are the hardest ones by far, because when you have an off day, your whole team's off because there ain't no one to look left and right to. It's just you. Like, I was doing a little research before you came because I wanted to see like what you have online and stuff. And you had a match where you were playing a guy that I know you could beat, and you were at the USTA Mecca. You're in Florida.
Okay.
And I watched the match and I went, what is he doing out there? I know his backhand. I know his game. You had an off day, you know, and that's part of it. And there's no one to pass the ball to on those days, you know. And that's why, to me, tennis is so tough, because you could grind. You were at an elite tournament, made it all the way to the final, which says enough.
Yeah.
Once you're there, if one of your weapons just don't show up that day, you still got to figure it out in tennis, you know. You got to find a way. So I think that individual sports, just like in boxing or any other sport, like let's say you've got a sore leg, you still got to run on it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like with boxing and fighting and UFC and stuff like that. So where have you played any other sports?
Yeah, growing up, I actually played basketball and soccer. So I would juggle the three sports.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed basketball, but, you know, I was kind of short in high school, so...
I was too. I was too for a while. I grew up on basketball, and when I graduated from middle school, I was 5'6.5".
Oh.
And I came to high school, and I was like, oof, these boys big. I was like, I don't know about basketball, man. The varsity dudes are like 6'4", jumping out the gym, head above the hoop. And I was like chubby and short. I was like, oh, this is rough. But fortunately, I did eventually get a growth spurt, and clearly you did too.
Yeah.
How would you compare your team sport experiences to individual sports?
I think team sport experiences for me, it was really more about just the camaraderie and just being around like a group of guys. Like, you know, it's just like, it's a lot of fun, you know, you got the energy of everybody, you know, even if you're off, you at least have somebody there that can either pick you up, motivate you, as opposed to in tennis, like,
that's it.
Like, you just screaming at yourself, all the negativity. It's like, oh my gosh.
That energy has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you rate your mental game in tennis?
Well, I'll tell you a story. I rate mine pretty highly, but this is because when I was a kid, at one of the junior tournaments, if anybody doesn't know, juniors, they act a little crazy. And so I didn't play many tournaments growing up as a kid, but when I did play this one, for instance, I picked up some of the habits that the kids were doing, like getting mad, hitting the rackets on the ground, you know, just stuff you really shouldn't do. And so my parents, they picked up on that, and they told me, if I ever do that again, I'm not going to be able to play. So, yeah. Mentally, I've been pretty strong.
Yeah, I mean, you came from a black household, so that's a major difference between you and a lot of other juniors in general. So, they ain't gonna play that. Like, boy, you break that racket, I'm gonna break you.
Yeah, it's like you got to represent, you know.
Yep, that's pretty much it, man. And you got a lot on your back when you're out there on the junior tour, so to speak. Have you developed any like rivalries or major, maybe like the other guy in your storyline?
No, not really. I mean, most of the people so far that I've played, I've only played for the first time. There's maybe one or two people I've played more than once, but other than that, it's been a wide variety of opponents. So
yeah, would you say this past maybe 12 months has been a major stride in your journey?
Shoot, I'll say these past 3 months, actually.
Yeah, I agree. obviously I didn't watch you play as of late until the Victoria Club, but who is that guy? Like the double tweener point? Come on, like, craziness. I have some questions for you about the tweener science, because I think there's a tweener science, and I've never talked to anyone about this in my life. But I'm gonna talk to you about it.
All right.
My tweener's terrible, but my forward-facing tweener, I can hit it like 70 miles an hour. Like I could hit a real forward-facing tweener, like a forehand. But my backward tweener is doop, doop. It's pretty much like if they have their eyes and two legs, I'm gonna get murdered. Yeah. But yours, on the other hand, where I'm watching you play in a final, and you get lobbed, you run back, hit a backwards facing tweener, boom, he's there. You come forward, he lobs you again. You're like, all right, there we go again, another tweener. And this is where science comes into play, right? Because I've heard a lot of people talk about the tweener and what the flow state is after the tweener, which is, I'm about to get buck wild. I just hit a tweener. Time to go buck wild. Like, it's kind of like when I was in high school playing tennis, when a dude cracked a forehand at me hard, I'm going to crack that thing harder. You know, that was the mindset, is like more power than his power. But with the tweener, the sauce levels just start going through the ceiling. Yeah. But I don't actually believe that. I think when you hit a saucy tweener, their sauce level goes down and yours stays the same. Because a lot of people, when they see their opponent just hit that tweener, they kind of get the, you know, like the drop, like, oh, he trying to embarrass me, you know? Yeah. And now they're like on the defensive because they don't want to blow it, because you're on the highlight reel now. You're on ESPN after that. You know, there's nothing worse than, it's the Kyrgios effect, you know? Yeah. Your sauce goes up, theirs goes down, and nothing's actually happened yet. There's only one shot did all this damage mentally to everyone. What are your thoughts on that? Do you get a sense of a different feeling after you hit a tweener or a saucy shot?
Yeah, whenever I hit a saucy shot, in my mind, I'm like, there's no way I can lose this point now. Because it's like, look at what I just did.
And what's funny is nothing's changed. But that feeling is so good. It's so good. Is it crazy that for me, an on-the-run passing shot, one-handed backhand, is probably better than a tweener?
No, that's not crazy, because
I think that's the best feeling shot in tennis.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I feel so good. Who's your game modeled behind?
Ooh, it's probably a mix of a lot of players. It's like a combination of, I'd say, probably like Monfils, Federer, and now you can argue a bit of Alcaraz, because I like to throw in the drop shot from time to time too. So
how's your drop shot?
It's solid.
Yeah, it's solid. All right, I saw a little sitter at the Victoria Club. It was just sitting a little high.
I mean, you know, I was just trying to put on a show for the fans, but
hey, it was entertaining. It was an entertaining final. That's funny. I think that to have a good drop shot, you have to have a good ground game. That's what it really comes down to, because they've got to respect your ground strokes enough to stay back so that you can hit that ball. You do any dubs?
Doubles? No, not really. I mean, last doubles match was probably in college with my doubles partner. We were a pretty solid doubles team too. So, I mean, I don't mind playing doubles. Like, it's fun. It's just, I've been pretty focused on singles right now.
And I mean, talk to me about the difference between singles and dubs as far as the journey goes, because we all know on the tour, singles players could just walk into a doubles tournament whenever they want, make a run, and leave and go back to singles. Doubles players can't do that. No. Why is that?
Oh, it's because the level is just much different. I mean, singles, these guys, that's the highest level of tennis you play. Doubles, I mean, it's really relying on you and how your partner are playing on that day. So if you one guy are just playing lights out, then, you know. But it doesn't necessarily translate, because singles, it's a whole nother different tactical type of game.
I think singles is more advanced and complicated.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I think that doubles has less. The best way to explain it is there are less angles and variables available, so there's less deviation. Like in singles, I mean, inside out forehand, inside in forehand, drop shot, lob, you know, Mach 90 through the center of the court.
Yeah.
Doubles is like cross court or pass. There's less things that can actually happen, and less. I feel like everyone can hit all those shots all the time, so it makes it less high level overall, because you don't have to have everything to do it. But that's just my take on it. That's just my take.
I mean, double simply is just serve and get to the net.
Yeah.
Like, whoever's the best at that is going to be the best at doubles. Like, you don't need a baseline game or anything like that.
You need one shot.
A volley and a good serve. And a decent approach shot.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and depending on what level you're playing at, an okay approach shot.
Yeah.
And just get forward. So, that's funny. How far out do you think it's going to take for you to go pro, and what is going pro in tennis really? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, it really depends on who you ask. For some, it's saying if I have an ATP point, that's pro, because technically you're ATP ranked.
Yeah.
Me, I think going pro is like you're making money and like you're living. Like, you're actually able to live off of the money.
You're talking pro.
I'm talking pro. I'm talking top 100, like ATP Tour pro. No ITFs, no challengers. Yeah. We're talking 250s and above. Like,
what do you think is required for you to get there?
A little bit more time. That's it. Like, time mostly. Yeah. I mean, I just played my first 3 futures this past month? Yeah. And so I was playing in qualies. I won one qualifying round match, which was good. I mean, the guy was ranked 1700, so, it's like small strides like that.
Yeah.
And then, really, I think it's more for me a mental thing, because in most of these matches, I've found myself, like, up and not really worried that my opponent is going to do some type of damage to me. It's more like it's all in my hands. And so, it just depends on what Miles wants to really do.
Right. So for you, it's getting the best version of yourself out on the court as often as possible is what it's going to take. How do you do that?
Shoot, you would tell me. I mean, I like I said, I think it's really just a mental switch for me, most likely. Like, something that will just tell me, like, I'm not going to lose this match. Or me, in this instance, I'm going to win this point. Or I'm going to do this. Just putting myself in the right positions and executing.
Right.
Just the highest level of execution that I can.
What is your greatest performance thus far where you were like, that's premium me right there. I need that guy every day?
I would say it would be one of the sets I played, just one set, that I played in my qualifying match at USD. That was like, I was playing the world number 1000 and I blanked him in a set 6-0. Like,
oh, is this on film?
I wish. No, it's not.
Dang.
But yeah, like, because it was pretty interesting. Like, I had lost the first set 1-6, but it wasn't like a 1-6 like you think. Like,
it was like a lot of deuce points and
yeah. I had my opportunities. I just didn't take advantage of them. And so in that second set, I just told myself, okay, clean it up, take advantage of the opportunities. The next thing you know, 6-0 in the set. So. Yeah. So
where does your tennis journey start? I don't want to turn this into too advanced of a tennis conversation because this is for normal people to watch, not tennis players. So a guy wants to go pro, right? What is the latest he can pick up a racket in your opinion in life?
Probably say 14.
14?
Yeah. That would be like freshman, high school, or around 8th grade, around that time. Yeah.
When did you pick up a racket?
When I was 8.
When you were 8?
Yeah.
And when did you know I'm that boy? Like, when did that happen? Like, you're better than most people who pick up a racket.
Probably high school.
High school?
High school, yeah.
Why? What happened in high school?
See, remember when you're talking about that sense of delusion? Well, high school, I was dominating everybody. And, I thought I would have, like, Harvard, like, all the best Division I schools coming knocking at my door. But, yeah, that wasn't the case.
Men's tennis ain't built like that. Now, if you were playing women's high school tennis and you did that, UCLA would be like, what's up? But, and this is something I learned because I used to run a tennis program for high school. And I did it. I coached high school tennis for like 7 years. And I would watch some of my best guys. I'd be like, I love this kid. He's got heart. He's got discipline. He gets gritty and wins. I had a kid. I picked him up out of 8th grade. And I was like, he was one of my players' little brother. And I was like, bring your little brother. His little brother had a dog in him. And I was like, I'm going to put him on my roster before he's even in high school. I had him playing JV matches in 8th grade. Yeah. And the other coach was just like, he's a freshman? I was like, Yeah. And he was winning his JV matches in 8th grade. And by the time he was a sophomore, he was number 1 in league.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this kid could go pro or something. Like we could get him there. And of course, by junior year, he got a girlfriend and joined wrestling. So it didn't go so hot. But I think it was for the better for him too, because I found out going as far as I thought he was going to go in men's tennis, he was in the worst possible division of high school tennis. It was Pacific High School. Our opponents were the bottom of the bucket in the area. So we were playing people that I can't even explain how low of a level the tennis was. It was bottom tier. But although he was the best of the worst, you're still just the best of the worst. And colleges know that.
Yeah.
And they're also recruiting from out of the country.
Yeah, that's the difference between tennis and, like, you know, our popular team sports, like, for instance, basketball, football, and track and stuff like that. Like, tennis is international. Like, you got people all over the world playing.
And they'll come here to play in college.
Exactly.
I went to some courts. This is a while ago, but I was playing on some courts, and I was just looking for someone to hit with. I was like, I'm going to go to a nicer park. So I drove a little further, got to a nicer park, and I'm looking out in the distance on the course to see if there's anyone I can hit with. And I see a black dude, kind of tall, and he's just taking a nice full swing. I'm like, you know what? Perfect. That's fine. And then I start seeing him get pushed back, and I'm like, oh, who's he playing with? And I get closer, and it's a chick. And I was like, oh. And I look over, and she's tagging the ball, eating this guy alive. And I was like, okay, I'm playing on that court. I'm playing with him.
Yeah.
So I walked up, and I was like, yo, guys, I just want like 15 minutes, like a short sesh. And after they say, yeah, they're like, give us 5 more minutes, we'll play with you. I was like, cool. Then the guy walks up, and he's like, I got a feeling you're a decent player. Just take my spot, dude. And I was like, cool. So I hop on, and I start playing with this chick, and she's a like 5'8" blonde chick, not very big. I'm like, I'll take it easy. I'll just roll some topspin at her. And I was like, let's play a game of tug of war. And, you know, I roll a few balls down the middle, kind of short. They land right on the service line. Winners. I'm like, ooh, all right. Put a little depth on the ball. I hit it a little deeper. We start having like 10, 12 ball rallies. I'm like, okay. She gets up to like 7 or 8 in tug of war. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just start clocking the ball. Like, I need some respect around here. So I get it back down to 5. And I hit a few shots where I'm just like, this is a winner against my boys. She gets to it and hits a drop shot winner. And I was like, oh, who are you?
There's levels to this.
There's levels.
Yeah.
She beat me in tug of war. And afterwards, I walked up to her and I was like, okay, I've never lost to a chick before. It's like, you're D1. She's like, yeah, I just graduated from D1. I was like, and she's like, I just graduated from D1. some crazy accent. And I was like, where are you from? She's like, I'm from Poland. And I was like, and you came out here for tennis? She's like, yeah, I just came out here for tennis. And I was the number 1 on my team in singles and doubles. And I was like, all right, Team Iga, I see you. She's like, oh yeah, I know Iga. We used to hit. I was like, come on now.
Yeah.
And I was like, what about Hurkacz? She's like, yeah, I hit with him too. She's like, yeah, they're cool. They're nice people. And she's like, she said one of them was like from her town or something like that. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Now imagine one of those times 100, and that's men's college tennis.
Yeah.
You know, like people just flying in and playing. Have you ever ran into someone and you just went, oh, the level or the gap is that big in the last year?
Probably when I just started my first season in Division I tennis. I was like, oh, like, these fools are good. Like,
who gave you the wake up call? Do you remember? Like, what team?
Oh, UNC Chapel Hill. It was my first match of Division I tennis. Like, they were ranked like top 25 at the time, and yeah, I got. It was a humbling experience. Like, I think I lost like 2-2. Like,
jeez.
Yeah.
So you lost 2-2. How did you do by the end of your college career, like your last few matches? How were you doing?
Well, that was like my first season, but towards the end of college, actually, I went from all the way from playing 4 to 1.
Of course.
So, yeah. So
I remember you when you told me about that, and I was like, oh.
I was like, I've been training. Like, that summer 2020. So now we're in 2022, right? And so, Yeah. So first match we play UNCG. This is my first time playing one. I lost. 3-3. It was a close match.
Yeah, that's a break.
Yeah, it's fine. Then we get to Duke, and I think that's when I became him a bit in college. Because, so I won that match. We won
in the one spot at Duke?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Sheesh, okay.
But, I was like, all right, that's nice, And then we get Wake Forest. They're top 10 in the nation. What do? I do the same thing.
What? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Do you remember who you played?
Yeah, his name's Rizar Kungu. I mean, he's top 600 in the world right now. So, I had extra motivation because, I did some research. I knew everyone on that team is good, but, him specifically, he stood out, and I was like, oh, he's playing one? All right.
Yeah.
Let's see where I'm at. Kind of like that. So, yeah.
Man, so you've had a lot of signs telling you, like, you're on the right path and you're doing things the right way, and I don't know anyone else who's accelerated like you have. What exactly are you doing on the court? Are you on the juice? Like, what's going on? And when you get on you're like, I'm about to get serious.
Nah, no juice. But I don't know. My coach, he's very detail oriented, and so me, like personally, like I care about details, but in terms of tennis, I was very athletic.
You're a field guy.
Yeah.
You came from basketball. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, my coach, he kind of helped refine all of that athleticism to where I could use it to my benefit along with technique. So, basically, I had a whole overhaul of my technique, and I've been just refining it every day.
What were the key changes, do you think? Was your backhand one of them?
Yeah, backhand, forehand, actually everything. The serve wasn't touched that much. My serve has been pretty solid my whole time I've been playing. He's really helped refine like the movement. Like the way I used to move, like I actually didn't know how to step in to the ball properly.
Yeah.
So like those like small details make a big difference, and
it's just a lot of reps at doing the small details right, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm on court like 3 to 5 hours.
Yeah, just trust me. I feel like I'm very detail oriented, but I don't drill. I don't put the time in. So I get out there and I'm like, stop leaning back, stop. My body's like, how? I don't know how to fix it. Well, I know how to fix it. I don't do the work. So for me, it's very interesting to see someone who's putting in the work, has a solid team with them, and you're on your way. I'm very curious to know if you could pick your debut tournament, where would you start out? Would you do a 250, 500, 1000?
Oh, ideal would be like Indian Wells.
Oof. I'm in your box. I want you to know that. I'm in your box. I'm gonna be there. If you did Indian Wells, that'd be a crazy start, and a lot of opportunity there too.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of opportunity. Have you had any instances where you got to possibly do like hitting partner stuff or anything? No. I feel like that's something that's around the corner at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I've seen some guys out there that are provided hitting partners, Indian Wells, and I'm like, all right, Miles, where you at?
Yeah.
Come on out.
So soon. I mean, I've hit with some pros before. Like, I've hit with TFO. I think I may be hitting with Cressy soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I think he's in Rhode Island right now. So I guess when he's back, maybe we'll set up a session. So.
Oof, that'll be fire. Let me know, man. I'll be filming. Some matches. I watched some of your footage. I was like, all right, we need some camera work.
I mean, I just put a thing up on top of the fence.
Yeah, we're gonna get it right. We're gonna get it right and get it clean. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the journey. I think that we should do a sequel to this, but something that's out on court. Something, I don't know what. I'll brainstorm on it to make it entertaining, because it's not gonna be me playing you in a set. That's
like maybe like me mic'd up answering questions while like hitting or practicing or something.
Yeah, something cool like that would be cool, because just watching a bagel is a waste of time.
Yeah,
I don't know though. My service, I don't think you've seen my serve.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. How fast is your serve? How do you know what you're clocking at?
I don't know exactly, but I'd say at least 120. Okay. At least 120.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna. Maybe we do need to play. I'd like to see how my serve does against a future pro. But yeah, man. I think that's pretty much everything. Oh, actually, I do want you to tell me a story. Tell me the story of your. You told this one on Instagram. Tell me the story of your futures, your first one. This is a funny story. It's very funny, and I think it needs to be properly documented somewhere.
Okay, I'll tell my story. So basically, I didn't really know too much about the dress code of ITF, and so when I pulled up, I just had on a graphic T-shirt. But all my outfits look nice always. Mm-hmm, yeah. But in this setting, since it's a professional event, graphic T-shirts are not considered professional, and so I'm like, well, damn, I don't have any other shirts. And so the supervisor comes out and he's like, you have 15 minutes, you're gonna get disqualified. So my sister, she runs to the store, go grab some shirts, and me, I'm just looking around, seeing if anybody has a shirt, and everyone's like pretending like they don't see this problem going on. I'm like, all right, like, guys, you all have shirts, like, just give me one. Like, you're not even playing, just let me have the shirt real quick, like, just to borrow it, because I mean, my sister's on the way, but I mean, 15 minutes isn't enough time to get a shirt. Yeah. And so there was this one guy, I forget where he's from. I think he's from Antigua. And he was like, he takes off his shirt. He's like, here, is this fine? I'll go to the supervisor. He's like, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, all right, cool. So now we're playing. But, my outfit is looking like bottom of the barrel. Like, where did this man get this outfit? Like, came dressed up all Nike, but didn't even read the dress code. Now look at him, like, in a Joma shirt. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Not even the Adidas.
Nah, like, I was wearing, like, all white. Then I had black socks on and then blue shoes. I was just, oh, man. And so it's granted, this was one of the matches where I said, where I felt like I was playing at my best. Yeah, this first set, like, all that's going through my head is like, man, I must look like horrible right now to everybody watching. Like, all these people watching, and I'm like, man, this outfit is so bad. This is not the way it was supposed to go. Like,
first one, the debut,
I was like, man, I'm gonna win all this, my outfit's gonna look clean, and next thing you know, my outfit is not looking clean. And so like, I didn't close out points in that first set, but lo and behold, my sister comes back with some shirts, Nike. So now we're back. We got the color scheme going, a nice light blue shirt matching the shoes, the outfit's feeling a little more crispy. I'm like, all right, now I'm Miles again. Like, now I'm me. Because, I got the fit on. Now it's looking like everything I imagined. And next thing you know, I'm playing a lights out set. So, yeah. But then, after the match, I ended up losing because, he just used a little bit more experience in the end, I think. Because, I mean, he's been playing futures for, like, 4 years. So, But, the supervisor wanted to talk to me after. And I was like, all right, man, we can talk. That's fine. And, like, instead of, like, just being cool, just like saying, hey, next time, like, read up on the rules, for professional tennis, the logos have to be this big and somewhat. Like, this guy is trying to give me a whole life lesson saying, like, you need to be more prepared. You need to do this, you need to do that. It's like, listen, man, I get it. Like, it's my first one. Like, chill. But then you got four other people with the same problem, but it's not more about the shirt. It's more about just clothes being, not up to the standard of the ITF. And so, like, the way he handled it with me, I was like, so I feel like you're being a little prejudiced about this. Like, the way you're talking to me is so unnecessary, because he was talking to some other guy about his shorts, and he was like, it's like, oh, because the guy said, I've seen other players wearing the shorts like this. He's like, okay, we'll talk about it, we'll see, but if you can find some other shorts, if not, then we'll talk about it. Nice and calm. And so, like, after I was finished talking to him, I was like, listen, the way you're talking to me, I hope you talk like this with everybody else. And he's like, oh, don't worry, it's congenial. And then I just walked out, because before I just start, like, I don't feel like dealing with your BS right now, man. Like, all right, bro, don't worry, this problem will never happen again. Like, it's just a quick lesson learned.
So what's the calendar like for a guy who's doing futures and stuff like that? You've played a lot in a short amount of time. Do you continue that?
Yeah, pretty much. You go wherever you can play. So ideally, you want to go somewhere outside of the country where the nation is a little bit weaker in tennis, because one, you have a higher chance of getting into qualifying based off of your ranking. And then 2, the competition isn't necessarily as strong. Like, for instance, I've seen a guy, he was in Trinidad and Tobago, right? And so he made it through qualies playing like 11 UTRs. And for his main draw, he played a guy that got a wild card from their country into the main draw. The guy's like a 10 UTR. And so, boom, there's your first ATP point right there against the 10 UTR. As opposed to the futures where I'm playing a guy in qualies who's ranked 1,000 ATP.
Yeah.
Another guy, 1267 UTR. Another guy, 1290 UTR. Like, and that's just qualies. That's not even the main draw. So
yeah, it's just stacked. You're in one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Yeah,
everyone wants to play tennis here.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't mind. Like, I actually invite the competition. I mean, to go like 1-3 with the first couple of matches, like, I think I'm overall pleased. Because I mean, my goal was to at least get one win within the 3 tournaments. So I mean, one I split sets, the other was a close match, and then the third time's a charm. I ended up winning that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How was so you won that one? That put you into the next round, right?
Yeah, so you had to go through 2 rounds of qualifying in order to get into the main draw. I lost to this guy from Cyprus, but this guy was a hook. Oh my gosh, like nobody's business. And so it's just like one of those days where no matter what I did, it just like all situational. Every call was very situational. Like I was up 3-0. Had a break point, hit a forehand winner down the line. And guy calls it out. There's like 4 line judges in the back. And I'm looking back there, and they all just turn around. Like,
yeah, that's nasty.
Like, I mean, so why are you guys here?
Yeah.
Like, and that's like my whole thing about the ITF. Like, can you really consider this professional?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if I'm still able to make my own line calls and stuff, then what is professional about this? It's like I could just hook a guy and it doesn't matter because there's nothing you can do. If the official doesn't see it, then it's my point and we move on from there. So, I feel like the ITF could probably do a little. I understand it's qualifying, but even so, like, it's not like it's low quality qualifying. It's like all these fools are like good,
So at events that have like a pre-quali, then a quali, then the draw, what does it take to skip the pre-quali and go straight to quali?
ITF ranking. So
just an ITF ranking.
Yeah, so if you have, I think you need to win at least 2 matches to establish an ITF ranking. So say you just win 2 qualifying matches somewhere. Like, say for instance, for example, like I went down to Cancun. That's a real popular spot. You can find like 9 UTRs in the qualifying draw. Like stuff like that. Yeah.
Cancun, here we go.
Yeah, you'd be surprised like how many I mean, I'd say UTR is like the standard of how good a player is, but it's just something that, it's just a tool of measurement.
It's one of the most accurate right now.
Yeah, and so for instance, like you can find guys that have ITF rankings, but they're really not even
that great.
Yeah.
They're like a 9 or a 9.5.
Yeah, and they're just out traveling, and I'm like,
they're living the good life or the bad life.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, go to school or something.
How often do you run into that in events and tournaments where you're just like, bro, what are you doing here?
As of late, not that often. I've been trying to play events where the competition's pretty much high all the time because there are some instances like when you play lower level players, sometimes your game will drop. And so I want to avoid that as much as possible. If I do play somebody lower level, my goal is just to get off court as quickly as possible. But like with UTR, they have like the Pro Tennis Tour. Like that's good because no matter who you play, it's gonna be somebody good.
Okay. Yeah. All right, man. I think that's pretty much everything I have for you today. For those of you who don't know, this is Miles, future tennis pro. Can I get a hot take prediction on how long it's gonna take?
I say tour debut 2026.
So 2.5 years.
Ish.
All right. Everyday Joes, Miles Clark, and your boy Jay. Adios.
See ya.